can't hear that, Steve, right?
No, sir.
Yeah, this is Jim the Keys bartender coming to you from Key Largo. Yep, I know. Jeez, I can't figure out. Well, I'm here with Steve, the owner of Key Largo Comics, my neighbor, who we hardly ever get to see anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You guys not going out as much?
We have been going out once or twice a week, but we try to go like early if we're going to dinner or something,
Oh, okay.
so beat the crowds.
Yeah, pre-COVID, that would seem like a senior citizen thing to do. Right now, it's the smart thing to do, right? It's just
Exactly.
it's a smart thing to do because you say, well, who wants to eat? That's a late lunch, but you're
Right.
in Florida, so you got to
That's
compete.
true.
Early dinner down here is like 3 sometimes.
That's right.
So, so how you been? Well, it's been a week. We did the sound check at the end of the show, right?
Yeah.
And that was probably the best part of the show, the sound check.
Probably.
You had to get through the whole thing to hear, hey, how about this? You hear this? Do you hear this? Do you hear this? I'm screaming. What am I doing now? So, yeah. It's like we're in the, um, Steve, it's like we're at the advent of the invention of the radio.
Right.
Yeah, and we have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
We're broadcasting. It's the first thing ever broadcast, and you don't know who's receiving it or the telephone one. They didn't really have a conversation, right? The first words on the telephone.
Yeah, it's all new ground. I don't know.
You don't remember? You
The
never.
first word. Who said the first words? Was it Alexander Graham Bell? I don't know.
Yeah, it was his invention, but he spilt acid, right? When I guess they were testing it, and he was burning himself in his leg or his arm, and he was trying to get Watson. Watson, I need you. It wasn't scripted. He screwed up, and yeah,
Really?
he spilled acid. Yeah, Watson, come here. And yeah, they made it. It sounded awfully formal for an emergency, but the guy spilled acid on himself, so I think he was getting. I think he said some other thing, and luckily they didn't have. I don't think they had recording devices, so it's pretty good. I think the exact words probably were, "Get the fuck in here, Watson," because I got burned, But
Really?
yeah, but the way they phrase it after the first words is, "Watson, come here, I need you."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but
it
no,
probably
yeah.
was
It's like if someone accidentally shot themselves in the foot when they were cleaning the gun, they wouldn't go, "Honey,
Right.
come in here," unless you're in a state of shock. I would like you to have you in here. I just shot myself in the no. They would just be screaming. That's what Alexander Graham Bell was probably doing. He was probably screaming his head off. Hey, get the fuck in here, Watson. Bring
Exactly.
Yeah, he didn't
But
say
they
it.
put that
Yeah,
in the history book.
he wasn't thinking too quick. But that's what we sound like when I'm doing a sound check. And I'm not saying you because I'm the one that's podcasting. You're just co-hosting, so I should know. You see how I'm not saying you don't need to know. Matter of fact, I have a friend that's been contacting me. Tisa, you know Tisa, Steve?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think she minds saying her name, but she wanted to learn about podcasting. And I'm saying, boy, can you get hooked up with a podcaster who has over 322 episodes, but still to this day doesn't exactly know what he's doing?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like she wanted to find out, oh, you've been doing this almost 3.5 years, and stuff like that. Yeah. And I still don't know exactly what I'm doing. It'd be like if I was going to the moon and back and say, well, what do you do about the anti-gravity? What do you mean gravity? I don't know.
What do you mean? What's that?
Yeah. Well, gravity? I don't know. I don't know any of that. I just know what I do that works. Right?
Right.
I'm not familiar with the technology.
Yep.
It's like one of those Star Trek episodes where they have, where they open up the Constitution and they think it's the Bible or something like that because they don't know exactly what it means.
Yep.
I'm talking too much, man. Today's episode, I called it "Discipline" with exclamation points, Steve.
Okay.
And if you don't want to talk about, don't make. Remember, I don't want to. I didn't mention it, listeners. I never said anything to Steve beforehand about what the topic would be, but I figured you'd talk about it. But the one thing I get you started on, and it works with discipline. Did you hear of a Netflix show called Cobra Kai?
I have seen it advertised. Yeah. Is it new?
Yeah, you know what it's about?
Is it something to do with the Karate Kid, like the characters?
It's directly in lineage with the first Karate 2. Karate.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's them, like, John, what's his name? Johnny, I wrote his name. Johnny Lawrence is his name, right? Johnny Lawrence is the protagonist.
Okay.
He's the hero.
Yeah, all right. So the villain is now the hero.
No, there's no villain. There's no real villain. I mean,
right.
But it shows Johnny's he's an alcoholic, he's a ne'er-do-well, and all this stuff. And he tries to bring back the Cobra Kai, and his ability to be slightly changed, right?
Right.
Is making his message, even though he doesn't change the message, but strike first, strike fat, strike hard, whatever the Cobra Kai thing was, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He enforces it in a way to help social outcast.
Okay.
Is that crazy? Oh my God!
Have you watched this? Well, all of it.
I watched almost the whole season.
Okay.
It's only like a half hour, like it's a couple hours, but I may watch like 4 hours of it today. And I didn't know how they'd square the circle with Johnny, They didn't make him like, and poof, he's a regular guy. He's exactly the guy you expected Johnny to grow up to be.
Right.
Right? But
yeah,
he's got a little more like soul kicking in. Like he's finally learning his lesson.
Right.
30. Wait, how many years later is it? They're showing it as 2016, 2017, so it's 32 years later.
Wow. So does he run like a dojo, or something?
Yep.
Okay.
And he only has nerds though.
Right.
And he's brutal, he's mean, he's thoughtless, but he's amenable to change, and he's reflective now. He thinks about his life, right?
Right.
It was kind of wild. I'm looking at it, I said, what a stupid concept. What a stupid concept. Then I watched it, and I said, well, it's high. I don't know how high concept is. They're just right on the edge because the way Johnny talks to some of these kids is brutal. Right?
Oh, really?
It's brutal. Yeah, he's talking to him. He's insulting, and then he starts to realize that he doesn't, like, he's not totally changed, but he has like like another veil opened up for him, right? Another veil of understanding.
Okay.
Went to the next level, and he got it, and he's not there yet. You know what I mean? That's where you can see the seasons, like he can be growing. The guy's growing, and it's funny. Danny LaRusso's in it too.
Oh,
the
really?
Karate Kid.
He's in it?
Yeah, he's a wealthy car dealership. He's a car dealer, right?
Ralph Macchio?
Yeah.
Ralph Macchio?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Danny LaRusso, right?
Yeah, right.
And he's totally hamming it up, using karate kicks and giving a bonsai plant to anybody that buys a car from him. He milks a Karate Kid, his winning the championship the one time.
Yeah.
He's still milking it, and he's kind of, slightly lost. He's off message a little.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he starts coming back, and it's pretty interesting. I thought I was surprised. I was really, really, was really surprised. I think it was so surprising, right, that people see the title and say, "Oh, the guy comes back and does a dojo. Oh, but he sees the light and he starts thinking better. Yeah, you think it's just that, but it's not just that. It's more. There's a story behind it. You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they got stories and they got backstories. They fleshed out his life a little, and they used the rest of the series to kind of make it like, well, this happened then, and before. It's weird.
Right.
So it made me think. So, remember when you first saw Karate Kid?
Yeah, sure.
What did you think of it?
Well, I was a kid. I liked it.
Or who do you identify with?
Yeah, probably Ralph Macchio's character.
Okay. So, to the discipline Pat Morita did, Pat Morita had that thing where he just made you do these long repetitive tasks called Miyagi, where he got wax on, wax off, and all that stuff. And and Johnny Lawrence, right? The guy that was Cobra Kai, he didn't get any lessons for technique or nuances, right? Not nuances. He just got the brutal thing is this is where you punch him, this is where you hit him, this is where you hurt him,
Yeah.
And training. And the only mental training they got was, no fear. Don't fear, show no fear.
Mm-hmm.
That was the main thing. Show no fear, and this is how you hurt somebody, right?
Right.
And Miyagi was, well, this is how you throw a punch, and this is how you throw a kick. This is how you balance yourself.
Technique, yeah.
They're still disciplines, right?
Sure.
Or think about it when you raise kids. That's why I call it discipline, right? Or
right.
You raise... what's the right... you're teaching a kid to be fearless and tough and being able to attack. You can understand if you view the world as only that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's only something to be punched or protected from. It's not, you can't be open. You have to always be on edge and ready to go.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
So you never experience one moment of joy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or the other one, you can say if you wanted to say, hey, if I'm not careful, if he's not always on the lookout or she's not always on the lookout, she could be taken advantage of. So I'm teaching them how to be protected.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right.
And the flip side, like Miyagi says, well, listen, I'm going to show you these repetitive tasks. And on their own, they're nothing. They're nothing. They're just, this is how you're demonstrating presence. But when you need to, you'll be able to face adversity. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Using these commonplace items and stuff like that. So isn't that kind of like the way people raise their kids on the spectrum? Right? Some raise their kids, some raise too tough, way too tough, right?
Yeah.
And some are way too soft.
Right.
And I don't think Miyagi is anywhere near soft,
Right.
But he definitely doesn't show. He doesn't lead with brutality, right?
No.
I think they're
that
both.
wasn't him.
Yeah, Miyagi and that guy that sensei. I don't remember that guy's name.
Right.
They must have had. Yeah, they must have had. They must have had. Because I figure they would have at least shown the guy's face. Because I know he was still around because he did a commercial this year. Right, the guy from the Ryan the Dojo.
Yeah, he did.
So
Yep.
I know he's still alive, and I said, man, I'm surprised. They probably blew their whole load on Ralph Macchio and the blonde kid, right? And the blonde kid,
Right.
and the blonde kid was never in anything else. I don't think. I mean,
Yeah, I don't think so.
he looks every bit at 49 years old, but so does Ralph Macchio, right?
Yeah.
But he can always say he was a Karate Kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what commercial that guy was, it like a Capital One commercial or something? Yeah.
I don't think the
so.
message. I think the message went over to like softness.
Right.
I think that message came from somebody who saw the Cobra Kai. You know, they said, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
we can do this ourselves too, and we can use somebody that's not in the show." You know?
Right.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I I don't understand it if someone says when they're raising a kid, "I do this, I make you tough because I love you," right?
Right.
Why would you lead with that? Um, everything
Yeah.
needs to
I,
be.
I don't have kids.
Well, I mean, even if you're a teacher, when you're talking to them,
Yep.
whenever you're around kids every so often, right?
Yeah. Sure.
I mean, I
Yeah.
just,
You
yeah.
want to lead with the hard stuff. I would think you would not want to do that.
Well, I mean, I understand, like in the Stephen King novel, you're always going to have like an older person come and impart some wisdom that you're going to need like 25 years from then, right?
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When an old black man sidles up to you and starts reading your thoughts,
Yep.
I'm talking about The Shining. Did you ever see The
Oh
Shining?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Scatman Crothers sits up next to that kid. I forget his name, and he says, and he starts talking to him without moving his lips, and the boy starts talking back to him.
Right.
That's a Stephen King thing. Like they're never like adults don't talk to kids like really nice unless they're about to kidnap them or impart wisdom they're going to need to survive 25 years from
Right.
then. Yeah, but yeah, when you talk to a teacher, I can a drill instructor, right? Let's say a drill instructor
Hmm.
job. That's a teacher, an instructor, a drill instructor. It's in the name. What are they teaching you, Steve? What do they
Discipline.
teach? They teach you how to be a soldier or a sailor or a marine or airman, right?
Yeah. Of course. Right.
To do your job and not be hurt and killed, to protect yourself too. I think some of the best, drill instructors I've seen was talking to guys who talk about how to, this is how you survive this is how you survive that, right? And then they lead
Right.
with it. This is how you do this. They want
Yeah.
because you got to pretend you like the people that you're instructing. If you don't like the people you're instructing, good luck. Just like
Right.
parents. If the kid doesn't like the parents, like why now anything? If they hate you,
Yeah.
what you're doing is going to go right through there. If they, people say, "I'm a parent, I don't need to be loved." And you say, "Well, what's your purpose then?"
Right.
Like with your dog. Let's say with your dog, right?
Hmm.
Unless your dog's performing like your dog's a shepherd with you, rounding up sheep.
Yeah.
Your dog, you have a dog because you like that. You love your dog. He's your, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So when your dog can't get out and has to pee, there's a certain amount of things you could do with the dog, right? But punishing it, beating it, or anything like that is. I know you guys. I know you'd never do it. So, but I mean, I never understand people that smack their dogs around. It doesn't work.
No. Absolutely not.
So that made me think about the Cobra Kai years later, about that guy, how brutal that guy was. You were
Yeah.
around. I mean, I imagine you're around for people that were like that. Right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, teachers, coaches, you know.
Yeah, they're showing their love by teaching you to be tough, right?
Right.
But, you know, goddamn. Like, think of the toughest. What's the toughest character you ever can think of in a movie? The toughest character. Off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head, the toughest.
The toughest. The really toughest one. The toughest one. I don't mean the strongest one. The toughest one.
I'd say maybe Dirty Harry or any kind
Dirty
of
Harry.
Take
Dirty Harry. I'll take Dirty Harry.
Yeah.
Dirty Harry. There were a couple movies, right? And there was a couple times you kind of seen how he kind of liked the girl. He loved the ladies, he loved the ladies. But
yeah.
He was never super passionate in that. Did you think he was ever passionate? That guy, you never think of Dirty Harry, whining and dining someone too much.
No.
Just never would.
Right.
The guy was great inspector in San Francisco, but he was never going to have a great love of his life.
Right.
That he was in. And you think, God forbid, if he ever had a kid, right?
Right.
Well,
he would be very hard on. Yeah.
Yeah. You spill the milk when you're pouring some. Well, I don't know. He never really smacked around his partner, so. But that's the toughest person, You can't imagine them being sweet or nice or kind.
Right.
Now, that doesn't mean they aren't sweet or nice or kind, but no one sees it. So they're not teaching that. They're just teaching tough, because tough people rarely teach you to be kind.
Right.
To be thoughtful and stuff like that. And there's some really good, there's good examples of certain heroes that are or heroines who are tough and kind.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that kind of do things to sacrifice themselves.
Right.
Things like that. That's kind. That's kindness. And I think you could probably I could write a whole psychology paper on Dirty Harry. And I could say that part where he put himself in harm's way was his show of kindness. Like,
right.
I'll sacrifice myself for these guys, even if you don't like me, which is pretty awesome. But no one teaches you that. You can't teach somebody that way. Can you teach anybody to be that way?
I don't think so.
I think you fall into it.
Yeah.
God forbid, how could you mold a person to be that tough?
I think you're either that tough or you're not.
Yeah, or like that character, like Mel Gibson in Thunderdome. When the whole group gets away and you're stuck behind, you're stuck with them.
Right. Yeah.
I told you about this movie called, I think it was called Redemption or something like that. Mimi Rogers.
I don't know.
Well, she's like a libertine. You know what a libertine is, right?
Yeah.
Free spirit, drugs, alcohol, sex, all this stuff, swingers, sex, and she finally gets religious with David Duchovny.
Okay.
With David Duchovny, and they get conservative and religious, and they have a successful company, and finally she's at the end. She sacrifices her daughter because of her beliefs, and then she rejects God, right? And the final scene, and no one's ever going to see this movie. Mimi Rogers is on. It's Mimi Rogers. It's the, what would you call that? It's the apocalypse, right? All the true Christians are called up to heaven. She's standing on the edge of a river, and her daughter comes forward and says, "Mom, daughter died already in the movie. All you have to do is say you love God, and He's going to take you right into heaven with me, and we'll be all together with Daddy." Right?
Right.
Up this point, Mimi Rogers is so mad at God that she had to make all these decisions, that she lost people that she loved. She decides to stand on the other side of the river and because she cannot say she loves God
Right.
for eternity.
Is it The Rapture?
Rapture.
Yeah.
That was an awesome movie, but that was one of the strongest characters I've ever seen in my life. One of the dumbest ones for an eternity to go and say, "Hey, listen, what do you mean, eternity here or eternity over there?" Oh, go with you guys. Go with you guys. Yes, I love you. I love you 100%. But to be able to refuse that out of hardship, just say, because you made me make those decisions, I'll never go over there for you with you.
Right.
And that's scary. Imagine, because she was a beautiful woman. Imagine getting in a relationship with someone that obstinate.
Right.
That obstinate, that'll hold that against you forever and not alternate. But I thought that also made her the toughest character I've ever seen.
Yeah, I kind of remember that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, when she's standing there doing that, it was
Yeah.
such a powerful message. No one's ever
Right.
said that. It was
Right.
kind of reversed, like Gary Oldman when he was turned into Dracula.
Uh-huh.
When he rejected Jesus and all that stuff and then stabbed the crucifix.
Right.
He's put outside of God's grace.
Yeah.
And because a living demon or a dead demon or whatever. And then he's brought back by Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu
Yeah.
Reeves. So, who was your toughest guy? The coach? You mentioned teachers. You mentioned a coach. I think you mentioned you did go through coaches.
Yeah, I had some real asshole football coaches, like in junior high and stuff. That would probably be what I would have to go with.
Yeah. Awesome.
Off the top of my head.
What they made you do?
Just like 2-a-day practices in the heat, just just yelling and screaming at you, calling your names, and just whatever, just the typical stuff. But I don't know.
Oh man.
It was
Well,
hot.
well, that was, yeah. Johnny Lawrence. Oh, there's Roxy. Johnny Lawrence, the guy from Cobra Kai. He's calling a guy with a hair lip. He's calling him Lip. That you hear my dog?
Yeah.
That's my dog.
Yeah, I hear him.
She's going nuts. But yeah, Johnny Lawrence is calling a guy who joins his dojo. He calls him Lip for the first couple times he meets him.
Right. That's terrible.
Because that's all I see. All I see is your lip. And then the guy, he says, you're going to have to change something about the first thing people see. And the guy leaves, and you think I'm not going to give it all away because you can enjoy this.
Okay.
I didn't watch the whole first season, so I didn't give away the whole first season. Guy has a positive effect on someone's life. And he was one of those guys like your coaches. He's the one that calls someone fat because they're larger than the other kids, right?
Right.
Or call someone, if someone's teeth are funny, he'll call them Bugs Bunny. Because for one, they're unimaginative, right?
Right.
That's if they were smart enough, they know if you're going to motivate someone, you can motivate people through your knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw coaches, and you had coaches like this. They tell you how physically they understand physics. If you hit someone this high, this is what happens. If you hit them this low, this is what happens. Right? Depends on where they are on their feet. Watch their feet. Do this, do that. And they use their knowledge as their whipping thing, meaning if you listen to me, you're going to learn so much that it'll be so valuable to you. Like every day you walk away, there's something new for you, right?
Right.
Or just because he calls you fatty or Moby Dick or whatever he wants to call you. And
Right.
that's where you get, and they think, well, I'm brutal. This guy is going to remember me because I'm tough. And that's all they know. Some of them are brutal because they think, I'm going to make them tough. And he's always going to remember because I'm going to be the toughest and he's going to be able to take everything. It's going to be great success because of this. But then again, you could be emotionally scarring them too.
Right.
And they'll pass the same thing because they're unimaginative. And the guy that says, "So listen, I'm going to show you how to do this the right way." You know,
Yeah.
those guys, and when they talk like that, and there's other people that motivate. They just go, "Listen, I'm reaching down for that part of you, that makes you want to do something well, to be proud of at the end of the day."
Yeah. Sure.
There's multiple ways of doing it. Unfortunately, in coaching, in the military, a lot of people think by being brutal is the way to lead, and it worked. It's a genetic thing that lasted a long time because who are you going to follow except the guy that's going to be able to? He just walks in and he decides. Probably years ago, he'd walk in with a big club and just bash someone's brains in.
Mm-hmm.
Look, that could be you, but if you listen to me, it won't be.
Right. Yeah.
Or you can say, listen to me. I'll make sure we eat today.
Right.
So that's the way sometimes people follow somebody.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm always afraid. I'm afraid of updates.
Of what?
Updates.
Updates.
Yep, I'm changing the subject. But you know what? It's kind of fake. Updates is about a character changing, right?
Yeah.
People can change. But an update, that's my system. And Dell's update is pending.
Oh, I hate those.
That means?
You've got malware.
Oh, does that what that means?
Well, I don't know. It's usually like a security update, because
it says a Dell update. Three updates already. View details. I got a Vast. I'll go and check that. This is something a good parent can't teach, but there's going to be someone that's going to be up there teaching. Hey, listen, there's a force when it comes to using computers.
Yeah.
If you stay away from porn, on certain type of computers, you'll never get a malware.
Right.
I do. I'm telling you this. The one I'm using right now.
Yeah.
What you're on.
Yeah.
At least while I'm on it, porn never comes up on this. Never has.
Yeah, no, mine either. I don't.
Wait a second. I'm not asking you. You didn't have to admit that. I was going to say I can't say that about other devices I have.
Well, I have an Apple, and I purposely don't look at that because I don't want to mess up my computer.
Now that's me. That's the reason why I don't do it on this one. It's not for high. It's not for some high-minded thing.
Right.
I don't purposely want to do that. But I can't say that from other devices that I have.
Right.
Now, if you dissect this clearly, what I just said, okay? If I was in front of a lawyer and they said, well, you inferred that on the other items, no, I did not.
No.
What I said on this computer, it has never been intentionally put in there.
Right.
All I'm saying is I cannot say that on the other devices. Now, to answer further questions, I would just stand on my fifth. I would just refuse to answer the question.
Right. Refute.
Yeah, and people say, well, that refusal. No, it does not infer. It only infers that this is the one that I can guarantee wasn't.
Right.
And that is such. I'm telling you, I've been watching Netflix. I've been watching House of Cards.
Oh yeah.
And oh my God, I should have watched it before Trump came in. Right?
Yeah.
Because I I think it would have inoculated me to everything.
It's, it's,
It would have
yeah,
inoculated. It would just. I would have been ready. I think it may be something that makes me look at the world differently.
really.
I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I'm not saying that looking at the world differently is not a bad thing,
Right.
unless it causes you to behave differently. And the only behavior I'm looking to change is any. I don't want to get sad thoughts about way things are going and all. Having that's what bothered me for the longest time, Steve.
Yeah.
You know,
What
just like
what has bothered you?
well, imagine if you woke up. Let's say you, Steve, woke up
Mhm.
and it's 1845 and you're sitting in the middle of Mississippi, right? Your friends are kind of well off. You wake up in their house and you have this developed sense. You were just went to school. Let's say you went to school in Paris for the longest time, right? And you just have the
Hmm.
feeling about man is that as a person you have everything to share with everyone else. Like that's who you relate to, other people, not different groups of people. And then you wake up with that same sense in Mississippi in 1854, and you're surrounded in the middle of a plantation where people are enslaved.
Yeah.
You'd be how would you square that circle? And I use this twice on how to just act during the day. How would you do anything? Now, you wouldn't be out. You're not a self-sustaining farmer where you can go out there and just raise your food, hunt the thing, stuff like that. You're a well-educated person, and you're moving in these groups of people, and that's all you get to see. And then you got to relax and not see the
Yeah.
suffering and not disagree and be able to interact with these people in a positive manner.
I don't think I could do it.
Yeah. That's what happens nowadays. Think about it.
Right.
And they ask you to comply to this. Comply. You're going to have to agree that, there's a certain segment of the population that deserves to be looked at with an extra, you know, fear. Another
Hmm.
layer to put on that. And it's just it asking someone to go back to be able to behave differently, like or sitting and be a person that believes everyone has a right to be heard and saying this and everyone's and all this that's regular stuff. Nothing where everyone gets 2,000 a month. I'm not even suggesting that.
Yeah.
Where let's say if you're just a person that wants everyone, you get the same say as everyone else, same access to everything, and that's it. Okay, that's what we go
Hmm.
for, and we'll protect that right. And you end up in Germany in 1936.
Yeah.
Now you say, "Well, I'm sorry, I don't know." So what if he's Jewish? It doesn't mean anything. Well, it's a law. There's a law right now, the Nuremberg law or whatever, says you can't hire a Jewish person. You can't do this. You can't think that.
Right.
So yeah, that is the way. If you can learn to think differently and say, well, it's not about that. This is just a temporary thing.
Hmm.
Just because a government may practice that doesn't mean you have to recognize it. Religious people do that all along. You say, well, you can do your
Right.
thing. I'm not going to eat. I'm not going to eat bacon. I'm not going to eat shellfish. Right?
Right. Hmm.
Yeah, that's just the way to look at it. I think maybe I could be off on this.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think you got it right.
Yeah. So that's from watching Cobra Kai.
Cobra Kai. I got to check it out. Sounds good.
Yeah, it was such a feel good thing. I really, God, and for this guy to come back, I haven't seen him in anything. He probably was in some crappy movie, same kind of movie that Billy Zane's in. It's always like
Yeah.
if there's a high budget Turkish movie being made and you need an American bad guy, they call Billy Zane.
Yeah.
Maybe this guy was, if in Korea, if a guy's supposed to be bad and he's American, they're going to pick this guy, you know? But I haven't
Right.
seen him in any American shows. But then again, I don't watch TV. I'm more like only. I know it's funny. I haven't watched a TV show on a regular broadcast channel. If they can't say the F word, I don't want to. You know, I don't want to see it. You know, if
Yeah.
you can't see a boobie, I don't know. If that's the rules, you're not gonna. It's already watered down.
Right. You want
So
realistic.
yeah, but this guy comes back, Ralph Macchio, who was in The Deuce. Did you ever watch that?
No, but I heard it was good.
It was awesome. He was a bad cop
Hmm.
in The Deuce,
Okay.
and he was so good in it. I don't know if he started that, but he looked like he was a mess. He was a mess when he first. I hope it was makeup that made him look that way.
Uh-huh.
Oh, do you want me to go? Okay. Um, so yeah, what was I talking about? Yeah, this guy comes back and does this, and it's great. He has the best acting parts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like a gift to him. All this
Ralph
life, he
Macchio.
has this one thing, and now he's going to be able to hold it up.
Oh yeah.
And this guy, you want to watch all the time. For all these
Yeah.
years, it's amazing. Hating him, and all of a sudden, I can't think of another character. Well, I did a little research, and I should have let you do some research too. But Darth Vader's one of them. Darth Vader turned out to be a good guy in the end.
Yes.
Like where the bad guy turns around and helps out. Oh my
Yeah.
God!
Let me think about.
They say in the Predator
I'm
movies, the Predator winds up helping out. When it's Predator
right.
versus Aliens thing, it starts getting romantic with a female, a human female.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Uh,
They say the girl from
okay.
Bridesmaid, what's her name? McGowan. She was kind of like the bad guy, and she turns out to be the good guy.
Right.
And, I mean, they actually
Oh,
use it in the thing. I guess they don't have enough women. The woman from Devil Wears Prada, Meryl Streep.
okay.
In the end, she flips around like that.
Right. Yeah, I'm not thinking of any. No,
Now,
there's
you know
more.
what, Steve, you're doing good because I read 30 movies and I just came out with 3.
Yeah.
I can't remember the rest of them.
Well, Darth Vader's the big one.
Yeah.
But
Remember, that
oh, I
was a
know.
running.
I,
That was always a running joke in it. You just go like if someone's talking to Star Wars, you go, like it's like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, and then someone would go, that's his father,
right.
and it'd just be if you're a total dick,
Yeah.
because all those movies, even the bad ones, what was the best one? The second one was the best one, right?
Right.
Is that right? Is it seen the last one was the worst one of the first? Right?
Well, you have the original trilogy, and then you have the prequel.
The original,
So
the original trilogy.
of the original trilogy, the best movie was the second one, which was The Empire Strikes Back.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
That's the one where Darth Vader cuts off Luke's arm and tells him that he's his father. So
Cuts off most of his hand.
yeah, like his
Because,
hand, like yeah,
Yeah, because he folded it back. That's how they didn't have. They had some green
Right.
screen stuff and all that. So
yeah.
yeah, I think okay. So
All right, I thought of another character that kind of does a flip. Did you watch Game of Thrones?
yes,
Yeah, like Jamie Lannister.
Jamie Lannister.
He did
He
a big
pushed a kid.
flipper
He pushed a kid out a window.
in the first episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by the end of the series, he's like helping the good guys fight
saving babies.
Yeah.
Killing zombies.
Yeah, yeah. He does
Yeah.
total good guy by the end, pretty much.
Oh, and the guy that, um, in the beginning, the guy that was Khaleesi's right hand.
Oh yeah.
He was a
Um,
spy. He was originally was a spy for the Lannisters or something like that, right?
yeah, Varys or something like that. Varys, the fat guy.
Mm-mm. The guy that
Um,
had that stone disease. The one that
oh yeah,
Sam
yeah,
saved by cutting off
yeah,
his skin.
yeah. I can't remember his name.
Whatever. Oh,
Yeah,
the point was,
yeah,
I get, a good guy, uh, being be able to be turned in the end. I mean,
right.
geez, it's a long time though. 35 years, 30 in 1984. So it was
Hmm.
35, 34 years. 34 years. The guy, like he says, not only, guy, if you haven't worked in that long, they probably say, listen, you're going to come back.
Hmm.
We're going to do the thing. And he goes, I'll do whatever it takes for me to get back in. He said,
Right.
if they said it was going to be a porn, he'd probably go, I'm okay. I'm in there. I'm in there. I just
I'm
may
in.
need a little medication, you know? But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in there or something like that. And they said, no, no, no. You're going to come back and you're going to reopen the Cobra Kai. Oh, I'll be a total douchebag. I understand. To the right of Hitler, right? I'm going to be, no, 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 no. You're going to be the good guy.
Uh-huh.
What? Yeah, and it's going to be built around you. You're a main character. I'm the main character?
Yeah, that must have
Fine.
blown his mind.
Yeah, he's the main character. We're going to focus on mostly on you and then Ralph Macchio. You'll have the same screen time with Ralph Macchio.
Yeah.
That was not an original Karate Kid. In original Karate Kid, he showed up like for maybe 6, 7 minutes.
Right.
He's in 50% of the series. That guy's great.
Huh.
Smart move. You
Yeah.
know, you're gonna say, "Oh, we're
Definitely.
gonna bring this guy back," and another thing about the movie, Danny goes back to visit the grave of Mr. Miyagi.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Does
and
it have little bonsai trees around it?
yes,
It does.
it's a big ass stone. It's a big ass stone. It looks real. It
Yeah.
could be a blank stone, and they could have maybe put on, but I wonder, actually, Pat Morita, it says he lived until 2011. Is that on the stone? Right?
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Miyagi? And
Yeah.
it shows in 2005 was in real life. Pat Morita lived till.
Oh,
They
okay.
showed at the end.
Mm.
So
Gotcha.
I wonder if Pat Morita's regular stone is as nice as the one for Mr. Miyagi.
I don't know.
Holy shit. Pat Morita's regular stone may not be as nice as this one. So I mean, it has a beautiful bonsai tree right in front of it. You know, crazy.
Really?
Yeah, that would be insult to injury. I think in the end of life, that if the character's stone, I would have made sure and say, hey, like, we got to make sure this stone is half the size of Pat Morita's size, and not as nice. But it looked like
Right.
the top of the line.
Huh.
Man, we got to talk about that sometime, don't we? Mausoleums. Think about it.
Mausoleums.
Mausoleums. I mean, how much fucking money do you have to have? You're going to have to waste it. Like now, people buy crazy ass shit with their extra money, right? Like sports cars that they really shouldn't have, or, some guilty pleasure, right?
Right.
If you have so much money to burn that you're going to spend a tenth of your income on the place that you're buried in, is that kind of
That's
nutty?
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nutty.
I'm going to say, I got my house here, but you're going to build a really nice house where these dead people live. I'm going to build it. You go up to these old cemeteries, that's all you see. You see mausoleums. And they're falling apart
Yeah.
in Philadelphia. Oh, there's this, it's a one intersection. It's great. thank God. Thank God there's 4 cemeteries there. It's
Uh-huh.
it's an intersection in Philadelphia where these old cemeteries are.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for these cemeteries were on this corners, none of
Mhm.
those cemeteries. Eventually, someone would have moved, and they would have moved the all the
Right.
graves. Supposedly moved the graves, and it would end up the whole development would probably end up haunted or something. But like Poltergeist, because they never really moved the bodies. But I'll tell you, there's one where it's a Jewish cemetery, there's a Protestant cemetery, and then 2 Catholic cemeteries.
Huh.
And some of them, you think they must. It's right. It's towards the inner part of the city. The oldest part of the cemetery was only like 200 years old. But in 200
Uh,
years, people spent whatever, they must have been millionaires at the time, all this money on a mausoleum, right?
right.
And
Yeah.
they said it is going to be perpetually taken care of, right? The rest of your life.
Uh-huh.
But after 200 years, they spent a lot of money on this stone house. And roots of trees are shifting the whole building. And it's
Oh,
about to
really?
collapse, yeah. So, I mean, you see broken down mausoleums. What's the point in the end?
Right.
The guys
Kinda
that made
dumb.
the best investment was the Pharaoh, one of the pyramids. Jesus Christ. What's that?
Yeah.
5,000 years? Phew.
Put me,
It's pretty
put me
good.
one of those.
Yeah, get me one of
That's
those.
good.
That's pretty. That was it. Well, it's going to take 20,000 slaves, 20 years. Oh,
That's okay.
you better start working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep going.
yeah. That's kind of what a negative way to end a show. Talking about
No.
graveyards.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's better to have a tree, or if you're going to if you have all that money, blast you straight, your body. Maybe make it like something where they blast it towards another, like inside. You're cased inside a metal object, and you're blasted to a dark portion of the universe.
I'd like that. That'd be cool.
And then 1,000,000 years, 2,000,000 years from now, an alien culture picks you up.
Yeah, and brings you back to life.
What brings you back to life?
Yeah, I mean, they might have the technology.
Yeah, but your brain, your what? You think your thoughts are going to survive?
Maybe.
They just they'll invent a race of things. That's what they'll do. They won't bring you back to life. Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Imagine that. That'd be good. That'd be a good storyline now. Yeah.
I know.
I had billions of dollars, and this is what I invested it in. Someday.
Got my-
Yeah. And then they turn out, and you spend all your money, but in the end, you land on a different civilization's planet and decide
Yeah.
they're going to clone you.
Ooh,
But the
that's
cloned
good.
you is going to be their food source.
Oh.
Mm. That's the end of the movie.
That's a good one.
Yeah, thank you.
Good
Or
sci-fi movie.
you can always have 1,000,000 things. Like you land. You're a superhero on their planet.
You're like
and then-
land on a planet of beautiful women.
Yeah, but they're not.
But they're not really.
Yeah, they're not really beautiful women. Yeah, that'd be the same thing. Something shocking at the end. Well, Steve, the episode was on discipline. I guess that's it. We stayed off. We started with Cobra Kai, and we kind of ended with that.
All right. Yeah, stayed on track somewhat.
Yep. So, listen, I'm gonna sign off with you on. Okay. We're gonna go right
Okay.
now. I'm gonna put the music on.
All right.
We could talk during it. Well, let me turn the volume down. I'll start real low. I'm gonna turn it down. Put on the volume.
It is.
It's playing right now.
It is?
Yeah, it's playing. It's not middle one. It's coming up right in the beginning. There we go. That's the jam. right
There's
there
nothing.
with the drum. Dum, 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 dum. Dum, dum. Okay. This is us. I'll talk to you later. Okay?
All right.
Show.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone.